What was your school's incident? The biggest incident was when my school decided to get rid of block scheduling. It was basically taking 4 classes for the first part of the year and then 4 different classes at the second part, so a total of 8 classes per school year. When the school district decided to get rid of block scheduling and go to traditional 6 classes a day all year, the students protested. This text went around to almost every student in the school, and almost the entire student body gathered in the middle of the school for a peaceful protest. It ended up us watching kids running hysterically from the cops who were fully suited up in riot gear and kids getting tased. It was definitely an event. 2 guys got in a fight over a girl ex-girl. One stabbed the other. He died. I went to a private Catholic college prep high school in Florida. Freshman year, my elderly male principal was arrested for soliciting sex to an undercover male officer. Sophomore year, we went into lockdown as police raided our tiny school. Computer teacher and computers left with the police, and he was charged with over 100 counts of child pornography. Junior year, our male pay coach was caught during mass having sex with a sophomore girl. I didn't attend for my senior year. A teacher at my middle school was asked to retire early a few years ago. This happened in my sophomore year of high school, so I wasn't there to see it happen. But apparently some kid walked into her class and shouted, "What bullshit are we learning today?" And she backhanded him right across his face. 4 kids stole a van, lined it up with the main entrance, and put a brick on the accelerator. The ensuing fire kept us out of school for a few days. They were caught after tweeting about doing it. Ike. What a bunch of complete f-tards. If you're going to ram a van into the school, don't ducking tweet it. Back in 92 or 93 when I was in high school, we had some kids involved in suicide pacts. Tragic, and 2 teens died before it got stopped. My high school had its name, Newport, spelled in big letters in front of the school. Our rival school came and rearranged it to Wet Bar N, and it went unnoticed for quite a while. Kids stole a bust of the guy who donated the new gym to our school. They would take pictures of him around the world with obviously fake scenic backgrounds from Hawaii and Mount Rushmore, and would all say "wish you were here," but then the school threatened to involve the FBI over the morning announcements, and the kids returned the bust the next day in the principal's parking spot. Edit. Clarification. Edit 2. A bust is a sculpture of someone's head. Someone decided to let off a canister of pepper spray. Me and a group of friends discovered it had been set off in a stairway where we used to hang at break time. Because we were choking and coughing non-stop, alerted staff. But it wasn't until lunchtime when we came back from the gym that there was police, ambulances and helicopters all over the school. They didn't know what the gas was, and suddenly everyone needed to be seen by a doctor and was kept inside the classrooms. Parents were turning up and creating a mob outside. 2 dads got into a fight near the police helicopter that had landed in our field and got arrested. News crews turned up and everything. Edit. For several months running, some kid would piss on the radiators a couple times a week. It was horrid. Someone dressed up like a ninja and stabbed a kid with a machete in the woods behind the high school. This was after I graduated, so I don't know much more than these bare details. An English teacher had a year-plus-long affair with an 11th grade girl. He was transferred to a junior high while we were in grade 12, and their relationship continued. They would prance around the halls after hours at the junior high, which was caught on camera, and how he was busted, not so smart. Apparently, she was living in an apartment at the time due to rough home life, and her boyfriend would come by. They'd have sex. He'd leave. Then the teacher would come over with groceries for her. They'd have sex. And the cycle continued for months. Unbeknownst to the BF, he was arrested the year after high school. Of course, his home life with his wife and 2 kids was ruined. I learned all of this about 4 years after high school when I ran into the former BF at a bar and he filled me in about everything. Pretty crazy. This kid I went to middle school with was the first juvenile in my state to be tried as an adult at age 12. He murdered his friend's stepdad. This kid my junior year poked the head of his dick out of his pants during the football pictures. No one noticed till the yearbooks came out and he was almost charged as a sex offender. Made national news. Girl in year 11, 15-16 years old, got pregnant by her boyfriend that was 18. He then gets mad at her for going out with other boys or something, then strangles her with a scarf and leaves her for dead. Neither the girl or the baby survived after being in hospital for a while. Made national news and everything. There was a teacher who had left my school and went to work at another school the year after I was in their class. The teacher performed a science experiment that went horribly wrong without the proper safety procedures and ended up setting a student on fire. Edit. To clarify, this did not happen at my high school. It happened at the school the teacher transferred to. This was in New York City. We had someone a couple of years above me who was murdered. That was a pretty horrible day after that. We were all taken into assemblies and told about what happened and told to speak to the staff if we needed anyone to talk to. There was also counselors walking around the school for a couple of weeks in case anyone needed them. They actually handled the situation really well, if I'm honest. There was a lot of fundraising events and the guy's name after the event. In particular a students v teachers football match where his family were invited as guests. My school's music teacher gambled away thousands of dollars that the students had raised to help them attend competitions. Now they can't have nice things. That show True Life on MTV? First episode ever was about heroin addiction. Filmed at my high school. Kid brought a gun to school in middle school. School went into lockdown while the kid was going through the halls banging on doors. Planned on shooting people but brought the wrong bullets for his gun. Ran outside and got tackled by police. Now he works at McDonald's and does tattoos from a kit. Edit. Kid was adopted from Russia. His actual plan was to go to Russia after school to kill his real parents. Only someone bullied him during the day, causing him to grab the gun from his locker and start wreaking havoc. Sounds wrong, but you should be grateful he was that dumb. I feel like there were many incidents at my school that were a big deal in hindsight but were treated nonchalantly. For example, we had a student who told everyone these elaborate stories about how she was kidnapped one time. Everyone made fun of her for lying and trying to get attention. She was bullied pretty badly. Turns out, she really was kidnapped. I went to a military boarding school. A kid, A, who got into UCLA, with a scholarship got into a fight with this other kid, B, over A's girlfriend. A was dismissed from the school, which was a synonym for expelled. For whatever reason B was allowed to stay. After he received the news, went around saying goodbye and giving hugs. Then went to the top floor of a dorm during our free hours and jumped headfirst to his death. It was very tragic and very hushed by the academy. In high school there was this random day where everyone started passing out from an odor that came from one of the hallways. I forgot what subject the class was. Anyway, people were being sent to the hospital where they had set up a station for everyone to shower before they went into the ER. It was weird as hell. I tried to find it online but it's in the archives. Our teacher had a hidden camera in the girls' bathroom and one of them found it. When the cops came he fled on foot but they caught him. Edit. This blew up so I'll include some more info that helps answer some questions. He had his own single stall bathroom in the art room that he would primarily let the girls use to change and use the bathroom after their PE class. So there was no mistaking whose camera it was when it was discovered. Art teacher walks into girls' bathroom to retrieve said camera. Chris Hansen. You wanna explain what it is you came here for? Freshman year of high school. 1987. Multiple students killed in 3 separate car versus train accidents. Never try to beat the train. It's... Kid had a brain aneurysm in class. A classmate performed CPR on him until the paramedics arrived. Was brain dead for a week before the parents let him go. It was the incident that got our school defibrillators. Edit. Obviously, a defibrillator wouldn't help a brain aneurysm. Most people only knew that he had stopped breathing and his heart had stopped. Edit 2. I am aware that defibrillators won't help a stopped heart either. This was an incident that sparked the district's awareness that they were ill prepared for health crises like these. Even though a defibrillator is unhelpful in most cases for high school age children, most parents were satisfied to see the school taking some measures to prevent the death of children. Some of these stories are shocking and unreal. Meanwhile, the only interesting thing to ever happen at my old school is that once a dog got inside and it was running up and down the corridors and everyone was petting it. I attended just a pretty small town school in rural Yorkshire, UK. Edit 1. This incident was primary school. I was in year 5, so it would have been in like 2001 or 2002. I was 9 at the time. The dog breed, as far as I can remember, was some kind of miniature Shetland sheepdog. It looked basically like a miniature lassie dog. Edit 2. Also forgot at secondary school our head teacher ran over her laptop in her car. This happened when I was in year 8. So would have been about 2006. Apparently it was an accident. But we never did get the full story on that one. A principal in the 70s killed a teacher and her kids. It was horrific. There's a book about it and a mini-series. My film and TV history teacher was friends with a murdered teacher and would screen the movie. No one ever talked about it and it's creepy at FCK. Last year somebody sent in a presumed bomb threat. On a day when school was out. Edit. Just to add. To be fair. If he wanted to blow up the school because FCK, that building and everything it stands for, but did not want to kill anyone, it's not a bad bet. Our football coach got suspended for putting his dick in a hot dog bun, so that was pretty cool. School is buns. Man. He knew what was up. Not my high school but the town over. A kid on the football team claimed to have been hazed by getting a broomstick shoved up his ass during No Gay Thursday, where anything that would normally be perceived as gay was not so. It made news all over the place. Coaches were fired. There was a huge investigation and everything. Eventually they found out the kid made it all up just to spite some of the people he accused. Oh yeah, also in my high school, one of the teachers was arrested for being a pedophile. And our superintendent resigned after it was found out that he was cheating on his wife with another member of the school board. And one of our former baseball players called Moan Davis a racial slur on Twitter. One kid was part of the school show and there was a prop noose and for some reason he was messing with it and he hung himself. When I was in 8th grade. Is that between the kidneys? Edit. Holy moly, thanks for the gold. Kind stranger. There was a kid in my middle school with anger issues that no one knew had anger issues. He went on a rampage and smashed all of our display cases with his bare hands. Next day his fists were bandaged and he had to hold them over his head. He walked up to me and said, all of the bathrooms got closed in 7th grade because a kid smeared poop on the stall of one bathroom. Every school has a poop bandit. We had to start going to the bathroom in pairs. High school. A boy's dead body was found in a rolled up wrestling mat in the school gym. The town split in half over whether or not it was a freak accident or foul play. This was almost 5 years ago. And it's still unresolved. A few people's lives have been ruined from false accusations and the victim's family can't find peace or the answers they want. Edit. Dang, this post got big. To answer a lot of the questions on here. 1. I was senior at Lowndes High at the time and I'll never forget where I was when I found out. 3rd block AP statistics. 2. I'm not a detective. I just want the family to find peace and closure. And 3. Yes, I stayed here and just graduated from VSU. It's crazy seeing how many locals commented. Teacher in the middle of class gets a call. His whole family, wife, 2 daughters, and dog, all killed in a freak car accident. He returned a year later to teach but he was never the same. You could see it in his eyes. Heartbreaking. Went back to the school years later and he was still there. Same great guy. Anyway, hope you're doing well, teacher man. Some guy shoved a glue stick up his ass and punctured something. I bet it healed instantly. A few kids stole a propane tank and locked themselves in a garden shed to sniff the gas. Then one of them decided to light a cigarette, blowing the shed to smithereens. Fortunately nobody died, but some of them had to be hospitalized for a long time. Student was sleeping with a teacher. Parents sent student to another school. As soon as student turned 18, transferred back to our school. Student and teacher eventually married and have kids. This was in the early 90s and I think they are still together. Edit. It wasn't Mary Kay at all, no. Edit number 2. Also wasn't President Macron. Male teacher. Female student. Canadian school. I think the student was around 15 when it started and the teacher was mid to late 20s. Does this student happen to be the current president of France? Over Christmas break of my sophomore year in high school, our principal was pulled with over twice the legal back. Instead of being immediately taken to jail as he should have been, he was escorted home. Over the next week he was on almost every local news station and even got a minute or two segment on CNN. Needless to say, the faculty didn't think it was a laughing matter, but the students found it hilarious and spent the remaining weeks of break having t-shirts made saying things like "I partied with Dr. Syverson and lived good times." A kid in my school beat up his mom, locked her in a closet, and tried to burn their house down with her inside, and I think he got in a car chase. Small towns. Am I right? We had a girl who was an incident all on her own. She OD'd on Oxy. Then came back to school the next year to get help back. Then threatened to shoot up the school on the day of that year's talent show. Then vandalized the school the day before graduation with another guy. And said guy wasn't allowed to walk. High school, one of the teachers was arrested for either having sex with a kid or taking dirty pictures of the kid. Can't remember which. Big deal though, since it was a super religious school. College, nothing major, but a guy got arrested for masturbating in a classroom and getting caught on camera. Someone drew a swastika and HT on the wall of a bathroom. He was nicknamed Hitler. It was a fun year. The Third Reich. Someone spray painted school's buns on the clock tower. Edit. Head football coach was murdered overnight by his son with an axe. The mom was also attacked but managed to survive. We all found out at school the next day and went home early. The predatory media descended like jackals trying to get as many distraught students as possible on camera. The son is in jail for life. The next coach built on the dead coach's vast improvements and won state 3 times over the next decade. Weekly bomb threats for a while. Fight in the cafeteria over French fries. One kid got a tooth punched out of his mouth. The other got tasered. Lots of heroin overdoses. Gym teacher, who was also a cop, selling Percocet to students. High school. My freshman year there was this huge fight and people started calling it a race war, Latinos versus blacks, and apparently churches were praying for us. There were helicopters everywhere and a bunch of cops patrolled the parking lot for a good week. College. Some kid used a dry ice bomb to blow up a toilet on the 2nd floor during my freshman year. A few months later, it happened again. My school was in Ontario, near the Quebec border. A grade 12 guy lived in the middle of nowhere near the border. So one of the teachers, who lived on the Quebec side, gave him rides to school. He stopped after he developed unhealthy feelings for her, and she asked that he be removed from her classroom. He kept writing her long love letters and stuff. He got her address from a phone book, common at the time. Broke into her house when she was away for the weekend, and hung himself from an exposed pipe in her laundry room, leaving behind a letter explaining that she was entirely responsible for his death because she rejected his love. Someone got grassweed killer and wrote in giant letters on our school's oval, "My priestess says me," with a huge dick. At lunch we used sit in the balls until the grass grew back. My freshman year. Pretty early in the year. After being homeschooled in 8th grade, Some kid hacked the school website and put on the calendar there was going to be a bombing. And then it went all over Snapchat not to come to school that day. Anyways, I was forced to go because our school has a system where if you miss 4 or less days you can exempt 3 exams if you have at least all B's, and I had missed 4 already. I guess my life is valued less than taking exams. My parents were assured nothing would happen. I came to school that day and saw about 20 cops on campus around the school. There was about 1/5 of the school there, and even some teachers weren't there. There was one girl in first period who said she was gonna go to the bathroom, and when she came back we looked at her like she was a f***ing god. Anyways, nothing happened but the kid got caught. Kinda anticlimactic. But my school is kinda boring. My 10th grade history teacher was in a PRN movie when she was young. A student found it online, downloaded it and played it in class. Came home from college and there were all these markies saying goodbye. What happened was this kid was driving late one night. Actively and of his own volition took a ton of pills and ran into a tree, killing himself. Everyone praised him like a hero. Said it was just an accident, not realizing he OD'd. But the people closest to him knew what he did. Someone broke a mercury thermometer in the main hallway. Everyone was evacuated. All our shoes were confiscated. Hazmat teams came to the school and we all just sat outside in the football stadium for hours. Until bus pickup. I went to a high school in eastern South Dakota back in 2006. The incident involved the football team on a bus coming back from a game. Fellow female student was also present on the bus. And during the ride back some of the players convinced the girl to give a blowjob to the star player. She accepted. And was subsequently caught by members of the coaching staff. It leaked to the press and the media had a frenzy about it. The players were banned for a game or two and let off the hook following the suspension. Computer teacher left his wife and kids to run off with a student. The art teacher delivered a student's baby in the library one day. Girl didn't even know she was pregnant. There was this one kid who, I forget if it was during a class or not, started taking off all his clothes and then dived into the pool. Teacher saw him, got really mad, and started chasing him through the hallways. He got out of the pool once he realized a teacher was there. Guy slips, cuts his toe open, and continues to run through the hallways bleeding. Gets caught in the office, and he was suspended for like 2 days. Some girl from down under attended my high school for a bit, US. She was failing an economics class. So she faked naughty texts between her and the teacher to get him in trouble. And the cops came to escort him out in the middle of class. Once it was found out she was faking, she got kicked out and was sent back to Australia to live family there. The marginal benefit didn't outweigh the marginal cost. I went to Southern Illinois University Carbondale. In the 60s it got an honorable mention in Playboy as a party school. In 1998 there was a full-scale riot on Halloween with businesses set on fire and cars flipped over. When I was there from 2003-7 I worked as a front desk assistant at one of the dorms. The night the White Sox won the World Series I was working and saw one of our RAs slide across the lobby in his socks and run outside. I don't care about sports and had no idea what was happening. The next thing I knew my boss was telling me to shut the building down and only allow actual residents in. As the night unfolded I got reports that there was an impromptu parade of people making their way around campus, knocking over lampposts, setting trash cans on fire and eventually trying to take down the goalposts on the football field. I will never understand the mental jump from "yay, my team won" to "let's set tea on fire." We had several. The first was a girl went to take her senior pictures with a tiger and ended up getting mauled. She ended up dying from the wounds. I think the tiger gauged her femoral artery. We live in a rural part of the Midwest, so the tiger thing was way out of left field. A few years later a Spanish class went to Costa Rica with the Spanish teacher for a senior trip and got caught up in an undertow. I don't remember how many didn't make it back to shore, but at least 2 students drowned and the teacher died trying to save one of them. We also had a bomb scare once. but it turned out to be a fake. For a rural school with only 500 students, these events really took their toll on the place.